Till now, we have discussed iteration, selection structure, and variables. Now, today we will discuss some libraries. What are libraries? Like, we have to write a specific code to loop something. We discussed that previously. To set a specific statement, like if and if else, we need to write something. So, libraries are the pre-written code. Means you just need to import them to use them. So libraries are nothing but the pre-written code that will make your tasks more easier. You can perform variety of tasks. You don't need to write the code by yourself. You just need to import that libraries. Okay. So these libraries can be used in data analysis, in your web development, in machine learning. We have multiple libraries. The first library is NumPy. So in Python, we haven't discussed arrays and matrices till now. Matrices are nothing but the arrangement of numbers in rows and columns. Maybe you have studied about it. So if you want to deal with mathematical functions, then NumPy is used. Okay. So we will also see with some real world examples. So firstly, we discuss NumPy. I told you that NumPy is used to handle arrays. Let's suppose you have to find the mean of different numbers. All the numbers are integers. So how you will do? So I told you that you don't need to write that specific code. You just need to import that library. So we are studying about NumPy. So I will write NumPy here. So how to do? So I have to write import like this. Import symbol, import keyword is used to import any library. You want to import NumPy, then you have to give a variable. I set that NumPy as NP. You can give any name, but by default, we used to write NumPy as NP. Then we need a array. So when you write this import NumPy, the NumPy will be automatically loaded in Google Colab. Although it is pre-installed in Google Colab, but if you use other IDEs like Jupyter Notebook, you need to install them first. But due to this, Google Colab, you don't need to install. So we need to create an array. So I will write np.array. The np.array function will allows you to create an array. So by this, what is an array? In the previous lecture, I have discussed list. List was used to store different strings in an ascending or descending order on different numbers. Similarly, array is a kind of data structure that is used to store the data of same kind. Like, let's suppose we have discussed different types of data types like integer, floats, multiple are there. So if your data contains integers, like these are all integers, then you can use arrays. So if you want to store float, then you can go with float. Now I want to print the mean of that number. So can you tell me what is mean? Arithmetic mean or mean? Maybe you have studied about that in mathematics until I write this code.
Enter.
What is mean?
Don't know.
Like we have different terms like mean, median, and mode in mathematics. So if I talk about median, let's suppose we have two numbers. We want to find the middle number, that is median. Mean means the average of all the numbers you want to calculate. Like we have these numbers. I want to find the average of these numbers. So I will add up all of them and then divide them by the total number. That is our mean. Okay. We have
Okay.
studied, I think, in the first lecture where we find the average of that numbers by uh, summing up them, adding them, and then dividing by the total number. So that was a very long process, right? So see, if I use numpy and I just use this small array function and that this mean function, so I can easily calculate the average instead of writing that whole code. So that is the benefit of using libraries. So they provide us the built-in predefined code. We don't need to write that again. Like here, I just write numpy.array, a function that will create a list of arrays, list of numbers here for me, and then with the mean function, I easily calculate them. But if you remember in the previous lecture, I have to first add all the numbers, then divide that numbers with the total numbers. So that was a problem here. So that is how we calculate the mean here. So that is NumPy. If you want to perform any mathematical operation, then we go with NumPy. So like if in future you want to explore more Python, basically Python is mostly used for machine learning and deep learning purpose. Like in artificial intelligence, Python you can say is the backbone. Without Python, you can implement AI algorithm in multiple languages, but it is the most secure and good scripting language for AI. So let's suppose you want to be a data scientist, then you can learn Python and then NumPy and Pandas. These libraries can be used. So we have another kind of Python library that is Pandas. Now this is a type of library that you can use for data manipulation. Like if you have tabular data, you want to check the statistics, like you want to describe how the data is, what the data is, then you can use pandas here. For doing that, let's suppose you will write import pandas as what variable should we give to pandas? So, such as we will give it PD, right? Now here, what I will do, I will try to create a data frame. I want to describe a summary of their values. So how will I do? Uh, just a small example here. We will execute. So I'm writing the code so that I can explain. So let's run this first. So there's an error. What's the problem here? So I think we have exceed the limit. Like our variables are not of same length. So okay, I will tell you a more professional way to interpret your error. Let's suppose we don't know. I on purpose click here. Let's suppose you encounter in an error. You don't know what I have done, what is the real problem here. So Google Colab will provide you this error explanation. Means it will, by using some AI technology, it will try to explain your error. Like let's suppose we have a value error message. Like all the array must be of same. Maybe we are trying to exceed that length, like the age column have two elements, the name column have only one element, but I think it should not be one. I have initialized it with two elements, so I think we have done some mistakes somewhere. Oh yes, we forget to add a quote here. Parts not working. Okay, here we are. So there's the problem. I forget to separate this with. No, I think the error must be solved. See, so what the pandas library will do, it will provide you this statistical approach of something. Like you want to describe this data, what is this data? Like it will explain what kind of data it is, what is the maximum age, 75% is the minimum. So in this way, if you want this summary of some data in a statistical way, then we can use pandas. So in data science, if you want to deal with probabilities or something like that, then this libraries panda is used. NumPy is used to deal with matrices and arrays. Okay, keep in mind, these are the libraries that have their own function. If you want to deal with the mathematical function, then we use NumPy. If you want to deal with the probabilities and statistics, then you can go with pandas. So we have multiple libraries, like we have TensorFlow, flow, and multiple are there. If I show you a real world AI project here, so this is a real world implementation of a plant disease prediction model. Let's suppose you want to detect a disease of a plant, whether a plant have a specific disease or not, with their leaves. You will give an image of the leaf, and the model or the that application will uh, classify whether it have a specific disease or not, and if it is affected with a specific plant disease, then which disease it is. So this is a small project. For that purpose, the first thing we do is we import the important libraries. I told you, if you want to deal with arrays, we go with NumPy. So we have some random libraries. Uh, then we have TensorFlow that is used for handling the machine learning projects. So this is how all the libraries are imported. We have multiple there. Matplotlib, it is used to plot the graphs. So we use that. So this is how we upload our data set. So what is data set? Means the multiple images on which the data is trained. Then if I go down, so these are different leaves. Let's suppose we have one leaf and we want, I think it's tomato leaf, and we want to see whether it is affected with them. So see here numpy is used. I told you that if we are dealing with arrays or numbers, then we go with the numpy. And if I scroll down, so this is how the testing or training of data is done in the real world projects. See, this is also done by a Python library. See, all the diseases are mentioned here, and here the everything is done. And if I give a specific image here, so this is how the data is trained. Then if I scroll down, so this is how the testing or training of data is done in the real world projects. See, this is also done by a Python library. See, all the diseases are mentioned here, and here the everything is done. And if I give a specific image here, then it will predict whether it is a virus or not. Like, let's suppose we give this disease, this specific image here, and if I run this, and it gives that it's tomato disease. That name is tomato yellow leaf curl virus. So this is how things done. Then after that, in the end, we save this model so that we can upload it into or integrate it with the web application or Android application in order to get results. So this is how the Python can be used with machine learning or deep learning projects. Okay. So this is the use of different libraries. You don't need to learn all the libraries. Like according to your need, we learn specific libraries. Now after that, libraries, we have different built-in functions. The functions that help us to perform specific operation. Like here in this example, we have a built-in function mean. Then we have a describe that will automatically describe the data. Then we have another built-in function print that will print whatever the data we want to print. Then this print function will print that. So these are all the functions that are performed by built-in functions. Now, apart from these built-in functions, we have also other functions that are called user-defined functions. Means the functions that are already created by users. So what are they? Now we are going to discuss that. So let's suppose we create a user-defined function here. Now what are user-defined functions? The function that you create by yourself. Let's suppose we want to greet someone. Hello, then the name that we will enter like this. So what is the syntax of doing that? First of all, we will write def like this. This is the syntax. Like for defining your own function, you need to write def. After that, the name of the function. Let's suppose we want to create a greet function that will greet hello to whatever the name we give to that. We write greet like this. Then after that, the name that we will pass. Then column like this. And after that, we need to write return like this. Means what will you return? Will be, then you have to write hello like this. I want to write. Then after hello, I need to print that name, right? So how we will do? I will write us name like this. So this is what you have to do. Then after that, you have to print it. So this is all what you have to do. Then this is done. So let's suppose we want to print hello Alice. So first I will run this, then I will explain the code. Why it's not printing here? Yes, it will print in the bash function. So still we have not print that bash. So okay, let's replace it with this. As we are using Google Colab. So the syntax can be changed here for printing something. Just about output. Okay, we will use another tool. So building functions here, you need to use your command prompt like bash or command line. So then we will use that. I think it will be discussed. Mhm. We are not using Jupyter Notebook, so that's why we are encountered in this problem. Mm, should be here. Yes. So we have executed this code multiple times. You can try to run this code in your Google Colab. Okay, if you are using this, or you can go with Jupyter Notebook. This is also a best option. Sometimes due to connectivity issue, uh, it don't give us output sometimes. But there is no error because if there will be error, it will never run the code here. So if I check here, the section and the variable section. Yes, everything is working fine. So you can run this code in your Google Collaboratory, then you will get this hello Alice as your output. So here my purpose was to just give an idea of how your built-in functions or user-defined functions will work. Means you can use this function like, for example, you may need to create someone whenever they log into the system. So instead of writing the complete code, we create this user defined function like this. You just need to replace the name and that username will be displayed with a greeting message. So this is how these things work here. Then after that, we have a difference between the programming and scripting. So that was the basics of Python. Today we have covered. We have covered till now variables. We have covered, I think, iteration structure or selection structure we have covered. So built-in functions are not too much important because basically if you go with ML or DL in future, so you can see it's a real world project. We don't need that function that much. We use built-in function instead of user-defined function. But still, if you want to know how to work with them, you can run the same code on Jupyter Notebook or in your Bash, where you will check the output. Okay. So if you have any problem or confusion with the basics of Python till now, you can let me know. All the topics that we have discussed so far, any confusion or problem with that, then like variables and all things. So what is the basic difference between the programming and scripting? In programming, we used to create applications or softwares. Like with the complex logic, we focus on the modularity. Like modularity means in the form of modules or with the help of functions we used to create. We use Java or C++. after combining them, or usually they are piled with syntax. But where in scripting, it is a subset of programming. We use automated tasks. Instead of compiling, we typically interpret. There is a difference between interpret and compile. Compile means that I will write the complete code and then click the run button, then it will execute the code. And if there is some error, then it will display the error message. But in scripting, you have seen that if I have written, if I have write the even one line of code, I click the run button to check if there is any error or not. So what the interpreter will do, it will check the code line by line, if there is any error or not. So that is the basic difference between the programming and scripting. In programming, we do compilation. In scripting, we do interpretation. Then they are used to write to perform simple tasks on like we need to, if we want to execute commands with larger softwares, then we go with scripting. Like I show you a real world project, a plant disease detection project. So you have seen there were multiple tasks that have to be performed in a loop, like uh, uploading the data set, then classifying different diseases, then which, if we give a image to that classifier, whether it can classify which disease that image contains or not. So this is how this scripting and programming work. If I mention the difference here, in programming we do compilation, in scripting we do interpretation. We interpret that code. If we talk about the complexity, so programming is more complex. So we have studied variables here. We have studied different data types. So you have seen we don't initialize any variable with a certain type, whether it is int, float. So programming languages are more complex because they are case sensitive. They are many problems, like even if you don't put a semicolon somewhere, uh, it is also an error. But in scripting, we have predefined data type. We don't need to specify what kind of data it is. So scripting is much more easier than programming. So here in programming, you build a full application. If you are working as a Android developer or a web developer, you have known with Java or C++, where you can, from scratch, you can build a complete application. But scripting can be used to automate the tasks for data execution. Like to execute a data, we use Python script, JavaScript or Bash. So these are some scripting languages that can be used just to do the automation purpose, just to execute the data. So till now, if you have view, we didn't take any input from the user because we just perform small tasks on Python. Smaller core snippets, we just create how they are done. So just the scripting languages are used to automate the tasks, to extract any data from somewhere. Like if I share this example with you, train a model that can classify the plant disease. So first of all, I need the data. For data extraction, we use some keywords here or some a little bit of libraries here. Like we mostly Kaggle is the biggest data repository where you can get all kind of data. So I want to extract that data and I want to upload it here. So I use the dataset URL. Then we download this content. So this is how the Python can be used. This is a scripting language. So I need that data to be extracted from that site to this side. I want to load here. So with just a few line of code, I load that data here. So that is how the scripting languages are used. Now here you can see we have model or train this data. So see, I told you about TensorFlow. This is another library that is used. So there are typical uses of scripting as I tell, extracting data from the dataset. As we seen in that example, if you want to extract a piece of data, specific images or whatever that kind of data, whether the data is in the tabular form or in the image form, we want to extract that, then we can use the scripting. And I have also shown you with that example. So we can say that the scripting can be used for extracting the data from the data set. Uh, then this is a small example you can try. Like for example, we want to extract the people data whose age is greater than 30. So how you will do? You will create a simple data frame. I told you how we can create a data frame. For creating a data frame, you need the pandas. Why pandas are used? When we are dealing with manipulating the data, then this library pandas is used. We have discussed this in the previous session. So by creating how we can create data frame, first of all, let's suppose I want to write the names. We use a variable name. Then with a column, in the form of array, we will write all the names. Then their ages. But you have to make sure that the length of both should be same. If it have 4 elements, then the other variable also should have 4 elements. So how you will extract the data? We want to get the data of the people who are over 30. So what you will do? You will write data means this variable. Then in that data, you just write a simple condition, the age of the people greater than 30, and you will print this. So this is how simple it is to extract the data by using Panda. So basically, Panda is used for this extraction purpose. Then pipeline. Pipelining means you want to automate the movement. Means one process is executing already, but you have to load the other one. So this is known as the process of data pipeline. So we use load function, transform function, or extract function for that. So let me also show you this. See here for describing the summary, we have used this summary function, just like we can also use the describe function that we discussed in the previous lecture. So I think here somewhere I have loaded. Then now I can't find the load function here. I think I had used it. So, but if you want to load something, then we can use the load function also. So, but I couldn't find this here till now. But we can use the load function for that. Okay. Okay, it is used with MATLAB. MATLAB is another Python library that is used to load that. Then in the backend development. Now, if you are aware with web development, we have two kinds of development, the backend and the frontend. Python can be used for just like Django or Flask are the two frameworks that are commonly used for that. Then for task automation, like you have to perform a repetitive task, then you can go with this scripting languages. You can use them to generate the logs and all. So this is the key difference and the uses of the scripting languages. But I think programming is much more complex than scripting. So where if you have to create a full-fledged application from scratch, then you go with programming. But if you have to perform the smaller tasks that are related to ML or DL or artificial intelligence, then we go with these scripting languages. So any question till now, let me know.